Have you ever felt your mood plummet because of a single thoughtless comment from someone else? Have you found yourself making decisions not from a place of clarity and purpose, but from a desperate need for approval or a deep-seated fear of being abandoned? This is the human condition for many, a life lived on an emotional pendulum, swung back and forth by the words, actions, and whims of others. We become puppets, and we willingly hand the strings to our friends, our family, our partners, and even to complete strangers on the internet. We call this connection, we call it love, we call it caring, but often it is a prison of our own making, a state of emotional dependency that robs us of our peace, our stability, and our power. The ancient Stoics understood this danger. They were not cold, unfeeling statues as the modern caricature suggests. They were generals, emperors, playwrights, and merchants who lived in the thick of life. They understood that to navigate the chaos of the world, to lead effectively, to love deeply, and to live virtuously, one must first be the master of their own inner world. They taught that true strength isn't found in controlling others, but in mastering oneself. What they discovered was a path to a different kind of freedom, emotional detachment. But let us be clear, this is not the detachment of indifference or apathy. It is not about building walls so high that no one can ever reach you. It is the detachment of the eagle, which soars high above the plains, seeing everything with perfect clarity, unaffected by the turmoil of the creatures below, yet fully aware of it. It is a strategic disengagement of your well-being from forces beyond your control. It is the power to love, to help, and to engage with the world from a position of unshakable inner strength, not from a place of neediness and fear. Today, we will explore 7 powerful Stoic rules that will teach you how to cultivate this profound form of freedom. This is the path to reclaiming your emotional sovereignty. Rule 1. Strip away the labels and see things as they are. This is a powerful mental technique for neutralizing the emotional power others hold over you. We do not live in a world of raw facts. We live in a world of stories, labels, and judgments that we project onto everything. This is especially true with people. We don't just see a person, we see my intimidating boss, my brilliant friend, my lazy coworker, or my ex who betrayed me. These labels are not objective realities. They are thick layers of emotional paint, and they dictate our reactions. The label intimidating boss automatically triggers feelings of anxiety and submission. The label ex who betrayed me instantly conjures anger and pain. Marcus Aurelius was a master of this technique. To prevent himself from being swayed by luxury or status, he would mentally deconstruct things. He would look at a fine roasted meat and think, "This is the dead body of a bird." He saw his own imperial purple robes as nothing more than sheep's wool dyed with the blood of a shellfish. This wasn't cynicism, it was a practice of objective perception. He was stripping away the seductive labels, luxury, power, status, to see the plain, unvarnished reality underneath. We must apply this same technique to people and their actions. When your boss criticizes your work, instead of reacting to the story of "my intimidating boss is attacking me," strip it down. What actually happened? A person provided verbal feedback on a document. That's it. That is the objective reality. The rest is your story. When someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of reacting to "that inconsiderate jerk," see it for what it is. A metal box moved in front of my metal box. This practice drains the emotional poison from a situation. It allows you to see people not as heroes or villains in your personal drama, but simply as other human beings, acting based on their own complex set of motivations, fears, and habits. By stripping away the emotional labels, you detach from the story and can respond to the reality with clarity, patience, and wisdom. Rule 2. Place no value on external validation. This rule strikes at the very heart of social anxiety and emotional dependency. From a young age, we are trained to seek approval. Gold stars in school, praise from our parents, likes and shares on social media. We construct our sense of self-worth based on the reflections we see in the eyes of others. The result is a fragile identity, entirely dependent on external sources. If they praise us, we are worthy. If they criticize us, or worse, ignore us, we are worthless. This is a recipe for a lifetime of anxiety. The Stoics argued that the only true measure of your worth is your own character, your adherence to virtue. What other people think of you is, in the Stoic sense, nothing to you. It is an external, something entirely outside of your control, and therefore should be treated with indifference. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself, the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do. He understood that seeking validation from others was to enslave yourself to their every whim. To practice this form of detachment, you must begin to cultivate an internal scorecard. At the end of the day, instead of asking, did people like me today? Was I impressive? Ask yourself, was I honest? Was I brave? Was I just? Did I act with integrity? The goal is to shift your focus from being liked to being respectable in your own eyes. When you receive criticism, learn to dissect it. Is it true? If so, thank the person for the free lesson and use it to improve. As the Stoic Cato would say, I will begin to be a better man when I can stomach a rebuke. If the criticism is false, why should it bother you? It is merely noise, a reflection of the other person's ignorance, not of your reality. This doesn't mean you should be a jerk or ignore all social feedback. It means your emotional core, your fundamental sense of self-worth, is not up for debate. It is non-negotiable. When you achieve this, a profound freedom follows. You can speak your mind honestly and kindly without fear of disapproval. You can pursue ambitious goals without being crushed by the possibility of failure in the eyes of others. You are no longer performing for an audience. You are living authentically, guided by your own internal compass. Rule 3. Choose your company wisely. This principle is a practical application of the previous principles, reminding us that detachment is not about total isolation. The Stoics were not hermits. They were deeply engaged in society, but they were incredibly deliberate about who they allowed to influence them. Seneca famously warned his friend Lucilius, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you are capable of improving. The process is a mutual one, for men learn while they teach. Emotional detachment means recognizing that your mental and emotional state is a precious resource. Just as you wouldn't eat poison food, you must not consume toxic conversations or relationships. Some people, through their constant negativity, their gossip, their anxiety, or their lack of virtue, will inevitably drain your inner citadel. They are emotional vampires. Being around them makes it infinitely harder to practice the other rules. They will pull you back into the world of external validation, emotional reactivity, and dependency. Detaching from everyone does not mean abandoning humanity. It means curating your social environment with the same care you would curate a garden. You must actively seek out those who embody the virtues you admire: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Spend time with people who challenge you to be better, who discuss ideas instead of people, and who support your journey towards self-mastery. At the same time, you must have the courage to lovingly detach from those who consistently pull you down. This doesn't always mean cutting them out of your life completely, though sometimes it might. It can mean limiting your exposure, setting firm boundaries, and refusing to engage in their cycles of drama and negativity. It is an act of self-preservation. You are recognizing that your primary duty is to protect your own mind and character. By choosing your company wisely, you create a supportive ecosystem that reinforces your Stoic practice, making emotional freedom not just a goal but your daily reality. Rule 4. Recognize the impermanence of all things. Now we arrive at the fourth rule, a profound truth that helps us detach from both the highs and the lows. We cause ourselves immense suffering by clinging. We cling to pleasant moments, desperately trying to make them last forever. We cling to relationships, terrified of them changing or ending. And we cling to painful emotions, replaying slights and hurts as if they are permanent fixtures of our lives. We act as if the current state of affairs is final. This is a fundamental error in perception. The Stoics, influenced by earlier philosophers like Heraclitus, understood that the universe is in a state of constant flux. Everything is changing, always. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change, and accustom thyself to consider that the nature of the universe loves nothing so much as to change the things which are, and to make new things like them. The friendship that brings you joy today will evolve. The job that defines you now will one day end. The praise you receive will be forgotten. The insult that stings so sharply will fade into irrelevance. Even your own body and mind are in a constant state of transformation. Embracing this truth is not a cause for sadness, but for liberation. When you truly internalize that everything is temporary, you stop trying to grasp and hold on to water. Instead, you learn to appreciate the flow. You can savor a happy moment with a friend more fully, precisely because you know it is fleeting. You can endure a painful conflict or a period of loneliness with greater resilience, because you know this too shall pass. This perspective detaches your well-being from any single outcome or person. Your happiness is no longer dependent on a relationship staying exactly the same or on avoiding all negative interactions. You find stability not in the permanence of external things, but in your understanding of their impermanence. This allows you to participate in life with a light and graceful touch, engaging deeply without clinging desperately. Rule 5. View yourself from above. This rule offers a powerful shift in perspective, a technique to instantly create psychological distance from overwhelming emotions. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, advocated for what is sometimes called Plato's view, the practice of taking a cosmic perspective. In your mind's eye, zoom out from your immediate situation. Imagine you are floating above your body, then above your house, your city, your country. See the entire planet, a tiny blue marble spinning in the vast silent darkness of space. See the sweep of human history, the rise and fall of empires, the billions of lives that have come and gone. From this vantage point, how significant is the argument you had today? How important is that embarrassing comment you made? How world-shattering is the opinion of that one person? They shrink to their proper size, infinitesimally small. This is not to say they are nothing, but it puts them in their proper context. The ego, which fuels so much of our emotional reactivity, thrives on self-importance. The view from above starves the ego of its fuel. Practicing this technique in moments of social stress is incredibly effective. When you feel yourself getting pulled into a petty conflict or consumed by anxiety about your reputation, pause and take the view from above. See yourself and the other person as two tiny beings on a vast landscape, playing out a fleeting drama. This perspective fosters empathy and humility. You realize that the other person is also driven by their own fears and desires, their own small dramas. It breaks the spell of emotional intensity and allows you to re-engage with clarity and calm. It is the ultimate tool for detaching from the trivialities that so often consume our peace, reminding us that we are part of something much, much larger than our own personal story. Rule 6. Act with virtue, regardless of the outcome. The sixth rule brings our focus back from the cosmic to the practical, guiding our actions in the world. A great deal of our emotional entanglement comes from attaching our actions to specific results, especially results that depend on other people. We are kind to someone in order to be liked. We help a friend in order to receive gratitude or have the favor returned. We are honest in order to be respected. When the desired outcome doesn't materialize, we feel resentful, foolish, or angry. We have made our inner peace contingent on an external reward. The Stoic solution is to detach the action from the outcome. Your job is simply to act with virtue, with kindness, justice, courage, and wisdom, because that is the right thing to do. That is the mark of a good human being. The outcome, how the other person receives your action, is their business, not yours. It lies in the realm of things you cannot control. Epictetus taught that we should be like a ball player. The player's concern is to throw and catch the ball with skill and grace. Whether they win or lose the game is secondary. When you adopt this mindset, you are liberated. You can be generous without expecting anything in return, which is the only true form of generosity. You can be honest even when it's unpopular because your goal is truth, not approval. You can be a good friend, a good partner, and a good citizen, and find satisfaction in the act itself. Your reward is not external, it is the internal knowledge that you have acted in accordance with your own highest principles. This creates an unshakable foundation for self-respect. You are no longer a merchant, trading good deeds for emotional payoffs. You are a craftsman, taking pride in the quality of your work, regardless of how it is received. This is the path to acting with strength and integrity in a world you cannot control. Rule 7. Make yourself a priority. Finally, a powerful mandate that integrates all the others into a coherent way of life. In a world that constantly demands our attention and energy, this is not an act of selfishness, but an act of profound wisdom and self-preservation. The Stoics understood that your first and foremost duty is to the care of your own soul, your own rational mind. You cannot be a source of strength and stability for others if your own inner citadel is crumbling. Prioritizing yourself means fiercely protecting your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. It means saying no so that your yes has meaning. It means scheduling time for reflection, for reading, for quiet, just as you would schedule an important meeting. The second part of this rule is adopting transparency. This is how you enact this priority in the world. Emotional entanglement thrives in the murky waters of unspoken expectations, hidden resentments, and passive aggression. Transparency is the antidote. It is the practice of being honest and clear about your needs, your boundaries, and your intentions. This is not a license for bluntness or cruelty. It is a commitment to calm, courageous communication. It is saying, I need some time alone to recharge, instead of just becoming irritable and distant. It is stating, I am not willing to engage in gossip, instead of silently seething. This practice is the ultimate form of detachment. By prioritizing your well-being, you detach from the exhausting performance of people-pleasing. By being transparent, you detach from the anxiety of guessing what others want and the resentment that builds when they fail to guess what you need. You build relationships on a foundation of truth and mutual respect, not on a fragile web of assumptions. You engage with others as a whole person, not as a fragmented version of yourself, tailored for their approval. This is the final key to unlocking your emotional sovereignty. Now, before you go, to truly understand this freedom of detachment, let me tell you an ancient story, the parable of the empty boat. A man who was known for his quick temper was rowing his boat upstream on a hot afternoon. He was in a hurry to get home and was sweating with the effort, eager for his journey to be over. As he rounded a bend in the river, he saw another boat coming directly towards him, carried by the current. He rowed hard to get out of the way, but the other boat continued straight for him. "Turn aside, you fool!" he shouted. "Watch where you are going!" But the boat kept coming, bumping hard into the side of his own. The man's face turned red with fury. He stood up and began to scream insults at the person he presumed was in the other boat, cursing their carelessness and stupidity. He was ready for a fight, but as he looked more closely, his voice trailed off. He saw that there was no one in the other boat. It was an empty vessel that had simply broken free from its moorings and was drifting with the current. In that instant, all his anger vanished. It was impossible to be angry at an empty boat. He sat back down, a strange feeling washing over him. The anger, he realized, had not come from the boat. It had come from within himself, ignited by the assumption of a careless person he could blame. The empty boat had been his greatest teacher. From that day on, whenever he met someone who insulted him, or treated him rudely, or caused him trouble, he would remind himself, this too is just an empty boat. This is the essence of emotional detachment. We spend our lives shouting at empty boats. We attribute malice and intent to the actions of others, when often they are simply adrift, moved by their own currents of fear, ignorance, or habit. The insult, the slight, the disappointment, these are empty vessels. The anger, the hurt, the resentment, these are our own creations. The Stoic path is the wisdom to see the boat is empty, to let the emotion pass through you without a target, and to continue rowing your own boat with calm and purpose. Master of your own inner world.